All right. Okay. What's going on, guys? Let's wait till we get Instagram in the building. Make sure you guys can hear me. Oh, no, we got Facebook in the house, of course. We got YouTube house. What's going on, guys? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what part of the country you're from, right? But nevertheless, happy Monday. Happy Monday to everybody. What we're going to talk about today. What we're going to talk about today, guys, is man, another one of these fintech companies in trouble, bro. This time is Zelle. Zelle is just got sued by the CFPB last Friday, if I'm not mistaken. The news broke over the weekend, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to get some reactions on this and everything like that because obviously a lot of us we are familiar with Zelle and we use Zelle, so this can have some real, detriment, some real effects for everybody. So, all right, we got Instagram in the house. All right, just wanted to get Facebook in the building. All right, let's see. I'm gonna make sure we got Instagram in the building here. All right. Give me a second, guys. Let me just make sure we got. Oh yeah, we got Instagram in the building. Okay, cool. All right, everybody. I hope everybody had a pretty dope weekend. I hope everybody's doing awesome today. I'm doing pretty well myself. Looking forward to Christmas. Let me know in the comments what you guys want for Christmas. What do you want Santa to bring you? Okay, on the 25th, right? This coming Wednesday. Man, Christmas on a Wednesday. That's crazy. If you're working at a job that don't give you a day off on Christmas Eve or the day after Christmas, it kind of sucks, right? Because you have a day off on Wednesday, then you got to go to work the next day, or you got to go to work the day before. So it kind of sucks there. But hey, it is what it is. But I mean, my thoughts on Christmas is kind of far left, so I'm not going to go ahead and go too much into it, right? But never, I don't want to be the Grinch that spoils anybody else's holiday. I hope everybody have a pretty dope Christmas. Nevertheless, though, man, I hope everybody enjoy the holidays. And we're going to talk about the CFPB. The CFPB guys have went ahead and sued Zelle over the weekend. Again, this story broke. We're going to go get some reactions on it. We're going to do some commentary and everything like that. And I'm going to go ahead and share my thoughts and opinions about this because, this is something that ultimately is going to affect a lot of individuals. Many people may not be aware of this, but Trump has already announced how he wants to attack the CFPB. He wants to abolish it. As you know, he has tapped Elon Musk and Vivek. I have a hard time pronouncing his last name, as they've started the Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, which is a department that's being created to go ahead and streamline the government, cut wasteful spending and everything like that. And one of their mandates or one of their objectives, they want to go ahead and abolish the CFPB. Me personally, I have some mixed feelings about this because if you're in the personal finance, credit repair, credit improvement space, we rely on the CFPB heavily to be able to go ahead and have the credit bureaus and debt collection agencies, further our disputes, and we use them to also escalate our disputes as well too. So, abolishing them can have some real wide-ranging effects and everything for people. But Zale is under fire, guys, which I don't have any sympathy for Zelle because Zelle is owned by the seven biggest banks that's in the country. It's a conglomerate that's owned by them. And what they're saying is that, Zelle is not have been putting the proper protocols in order to protect consumers who've been victimized by Zelle, right? Zelle have they said is being rolled out. It was rolled out in fast manner without having the proper safeguards in place to be able to protect a lot of individuals. And if you've ever been victimized by Zelle, you could appreciate this story here. Definitely could appreciate this story, what we're going to talk about, because Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, a lot of people, as you know, the fraudsters are out there and they're using these platforms to be able to go ahead and, you know, do their thing, unfortunately. And a lot of people are being hurt by this, getting their money taken. And, what's going on is these banks are not reimbursing, not helping people. But let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's get straight into it. We're gonna get into a lawsuit by the CFPB, and we're gonna get some thoughts about this, right? So as y'all can see right here, CFPB sues JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. No, okay. Well, it seems like Wells Fargo always getting involved in some craziness, right? For allowing fraud to fester on Zelle. As you all can see, this was a story that was released on the 20th. As it says, the CFP Consumer Financial Protection Bureau sued the operator of Zelle and three of the nation's largest banks for failing to protect consumers from widespread fraud on America's most widely available peer-to-peer payment network. Early Warning Services, which operates Zelle and is, by the way, is owned by these banks as well too, along with three of its owner banks, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and Wells, rushed the network to market to compete against growing payment apps such as Venmo and Cash App without implementing effective consumer safeguards. Customers of the three banks named in today's lawsuit have lost more than 870 million. This is close to $1 billion, guys. So this is not no small thing here. We're talking about some real money here. Okay. Over the network's 7-year existence due to these failures, the lawsuit describes how hundreds of thousands of consumers filed fraud complaints and were largely denied assistance, some being told to contact the fraudsters directly to recover their money. Now, this is where the bullshit's. This is where I say, guys, I don't have sympathy for any of these banks. Bad enough that they're already charging exorbitant, excessive fees for things such as overdraft, monthly account fees and everything like that. So they're already profiting from these so-called junk fees that, the government is looking into, as well as the CFPB is looking into, to go ahead and abolish or cap. But now, here, the audacity to say, hey, you guys have rolled out a system that allows me to conduct financial transactions, but now me being victimized by your platform, you're telling me to go back to the various people who have frauded me to go ahead and try to get my money back. Like, come on, man. Like, seriously, go back to the fraudsters to try to get your money back. Like, where they do that at, right? But let's keep it moving. All right. Let me not go ahead and jump off the wagon too early. Let's go ahead and keep talking about this, right? What's going on, Jerron? How you doing, brother? Glad to see you tapped in and catching it live. First I want to give a shout out to Jerron Hicks. He is a credit and funding specialist, somebody who I have great amount of respect for. If you want to go ahead and get into 0% funding, definitely check out my man Jerron. We did a podcast show together as well too, not too long ago. So definitely check him out. Check out the podcast episode as he dropped gems for you to be able to go ahead and level up on your funding. Okay, so who else we got? All right, we got Jerron. So yeah, we got a few more people. Hopefully, drop your thoughts in the comments, guys. I'll shout you out on the live and everything like that. But as you guys can see, what the CFPB is alleging in this lawsuit, guys, is that number one, they're leaving the door open to scammers. Zelle limited identity verification methods have allowed bad actors to create accounts and target Zelle users. Number two, allowing repeat offenders to hop between banks. Now, this right here, CFPB has a lot of legs to stand on this one right here, as It says early warning system and the banks were too slow to restrict and track criminals as they exploited multiple accounts across the network. Now, obviously, this right here, I would like to see what is the counter argument that these banks are going to say. But no, ultimately, you have this is shows a clear disregard in consumer safety here, right? I mean, you are the banks, three of the largest banks as that. We're not talking about those small or regional banks here. Three of the largest banks in this country. You would think at a financial platform as widespread as, which by the way, Zelle is the largest financial platform, the largest peer-to-peer financial platform in the country. And you would think they would have safeguards in place to prevent this. And the crazy part about it, if you were to lose, if something were to like this were to happen on your bank account, which is FDIC insured, I don't see why they have that same type of insurance or there's the same type of protection on Zelle transactions. Because if this were to happen to your bank account, you would be reimbursed. Same thing if you were to be victimized with your credit card companies would reimburse you. If you have money taken out of your bank account, it's assured you would be reimbursed by the bank. But ultimately, it seems like, the payment network Zelle doesn't fall into this category, which is very confusing for me. All right. But as you can see, ignoring red flags that could prevent fraud. Despite receiving hundreds of thousands of fraud complaints, the banks have failed to use this information to prevent further fraud. So it seems like in a way they just been turning a blind eye to this and allowing this to perpetuate, and having pretty much the scammers do what they do and abandoning consumers after fraud occurred. Despite obligations under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act and Regulation E, the defendant banks failed to properly investigate Zelle consumers' complaints and take appropriate action for certain type of fraud and errors. Now, we have seen pretty much the lawsuit here, is pretty comprehensive and it covers, again, this is mainly the three largest banks. They got some other banks that they throw into this, but it's mainly of the three largest banks here that they're really targeting. And with that being said, I want to go ahead and see what is Zelle's response to this, because Zelle has actually filed a response to the lawsuit, and they allege, of course, that they're in the right. CFPB's argument does not hold any merit, which is, as you can see here, and it's the same day the CFPB has filed the lawsuit. Zelle response. I wish they responded this quick to the actual fraud concerns and the people that's been victimized. All right. So if they had that same type of speed, they wouldn't have been in this situation in the first place. But let's not go into that right now. Okay. As you can see, Zelle released the following statement regarding the lawsuit filed by the CFPB that will harm the very consumers the Bureau is required to protect, hurt America's small businesses, and make it harder for community and minority owned banks and credit unions to compete. Which, as the statement that Zelle has put out, which states, I quote, the CFPB attacks on Zelle are largely and factually flawed, and the timing of this lawsuit appears to be driven by political factors unrelated to Zelle. Zelle leads the fight against scams and fraud and has industry-leading reimbursement policies that go above and beyond the law. The misguided attacks that will embolden criminals, cost consumers more in fees, stifle small businesses, and make it harder for thousands of community banks and credit unions to compete. I stand corrected. Zelle is relied upon by 143 American consumers and small businesses, and we are fully prepared to defend this meritless lawsuit to ensure their service does not suffer. It sounds like a bunch of word salad to me and everything like that, right? But obviously, they had some type of publicist or legal spokesperson draw this half-ass bullshit up. But let's keep it pushing. Let's see. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and keep going. Right. Key points: we made every effort to engage and cooperate with the CFPB on this matter. However, they failed to acknowledge Zelle is an essential part of protecting Americans from fraud and scams due to our highly effective multi-layered fraud and scam prevention countermeasures. The Bureau also fails to acknowledge our consumer reimbursement policies that already go beyond legal and regulatory requirements. I mean, obviously, if these things were in place, then they wouldn't be over $870 million of people losing out on Zelle transactions. So that right there makes no sense to me. They're basically stating that they have these things in place, but nearly $1 billion have been lost. So American consumer, let's keep going. American consumers value Zelle as a reliable, convenient, trusted, and free peer-to-peer transfer service. In fact, 2023 reports of scam and fraud decreased by nearly. It's counterintuitive to the first point. They say they got multi-layered systems and prevention countermeasures, but you just state in the following statement here that your fraud has decreased nearly 50%. So I don't get it. Make it make sense for me here. So, is there's measures to prevent fraud or there isn't? Because obviously a good portion of it is going through here. Okay. But reports of scams and fraud decreased by nearly 50%, resulting in 99.95% of payments being sent without a report of scams and fraud. The CFPB will also encourage rather prevent criminal activity by incentivizing criminals to make false claims against banks and credit unions. Also removing incentives. Okay, all right. You know what? I've heard enough of this shit. I've heard enough. Okay. Because it doesn't matter. Let me ask you, and you know what, let's just go, I've just heard enough of the bullshit, right? And I just want to ask you guys, right? Would you go to a doctor that supposed to perform heart surgery, right? Knowing, well, let me give a better example. Because the point I'm saying is, yeah, although the heart surgery I could see if he was successful 99.95% of the time, yes. Okay. Because I would go to that doctor, right? Because I would say that's 0.5%. Um, what is I'm trying to find I'm trying to find a good example here, right? Um there's not that many out there, right? But banks are in a rare space. And when I say by that, they're in a space where unfortunately you don't have the leeway of being right 99.9% of the time. I'm sorry. It just can't happen. You have to be correct 100% of the time. I'm sorry. That's just how it works. That's how the game is. If you can't live by those standards, then get out of the game, right? And the reason why I say that, because you're dealing with people finances. You're dealing with, you know, the most important critical element of somebody's life, which is their money. All right. The bank cannot, it's a banker, like a matter of fact, a good one. Banker, right? A banker cannot be short $20. A banker cannot be short $5. They cannot be right 99.95% of the time, right? Before they start their job and before they leave for their end of the shift at the end of the day, they must be 100% accountable, 100% correct on every single dollar that they are responsible for. If they're short or over by any margin, the consequences can be really bad for them. So that's what it is in the financial space. Right? That's what it is for these banks, not in the financial space, let me clarify for these banks have to be 100% correct. So when you're telling me that 99.95% of your transactions have went through without a hiccup, but you have received hundreds of thousands of complaints, all totaling $1 billion, that is a significant problem here, right? Because especially when you have repeated offenders such as Wells Fargo, which they have just been flagrantly doing all type of foolishness for quite some time. And to say that you have fraud measures that's in place to be able to prevent all of this, but ultimately you have been allowing repeated offenders, scammers to be able to go ahead and take advantage of individuals from one bank just to hop to another bank. And also the problem is they're not communicating one with each other. I mean, if somebody have gotten scammed from a bank account in Bank of America, that should be relayed to each and every one of the banks that's in your network to prevent this scam from happening. Obviously, you guys co-own Zelle. You guys, this is part of your network, so you have the capability of doing this. Why is not in place? That's a whole nother discussion right there, which ultimately undermines their argument right there. I mean, the CFPB, regardless of what your thought of think of the CFPB, because they say it's the brainchild of Elizabeth Warren and everything like that. It's government overreach. However, let's look at if the CFPB was not in place, if the CFPB did not bring about this lawsuit, the hundreds of thousands of individuals who have been victimized by Zelle, where else could they go to be able to express or try to even redress the situation? You can't go to the banks. They're telling you to contact the fraudsters. Like literally, they're saying, "Oh, you've been victimized. Oh, you sent somebody. Oh, somebody took some money out of your bank account or whatever the case. Oh, you need to contact that person." Like, what kind of help is that? Like, help me. That right there is a prime. That is a prime argument on why they should not abolish the CFPB. There's one thing I'm definitely against is trying to abolish the CFPB, because again, if it wasn't for even for them bringing this lawsuit, what other way would this nearly $870 million of lost money that these scammers are taking from individuals, how would consumers be able to go ahead and get their money back? Obviously, the bank's not helping you. You're not going to, the scammer's not going to get a sudden grow of heart or something like that and say, yeah, let me send you your money back. So yeah, that right there is that's a real good question to ask. But my thoughts and opinions on this, I'm never on the bank side. The banks, which although they're critical to the economy, we need the banks. I get it. However, the banks are not your friends. The banks are your enemy. They basically are the institutions that are used to be able to go ahead and keep the poor poor and make the rich richer. I am a big believer in capitalism. Yes, capitalism works, despite what your thoughts is. America, it is a system that can make you become something out of nothing. However, when you have banks that are exploiting individuals for the sake of profit and everything like that. I mean, I just can't be sympathetic to them. I just can't be sympathetic. So I wanted to go ahead and get everybody thoughts on this. When it comes to, personal finance, I like to go ahead and really, really go ahead and take a deep dive into it. This right here, um, this is one of the last biggest things that the Biden administration has to deal with before the Trump administration comes. We'll see once Trump comes, he wants to replace the director of the CFPB. We'll see if the new director want to go ahead and continue pushing on with this lawsuit, or on what just the administration want to do with the entire agency, if this thing really is going to have legs, which I hope it does. I really hope it do, because thinking about the people that has been victimized from this. And again, guys, you want to be careful out there. I mean, especially when the holiday season, we have heard of these holiday scams, the romance scams that a lot of people are dealing with and everything. You want to be diligent, you want to be mindful, you want to be careful of conducting financial transactions. You want to go ahead and verify that the person that you're dealing with, or the if you are sending any type of money through these peer-to-peer platforms, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, that you're exercising diligence, so you're not being victimized out there. This is a cat and mouse game when it comes to dealing with these platforms, as they're getting a lot more, um, these platforms are getting a lot more wiser and wiser and everything like that. But tell me what your thoughts is, guys. Tell me what your thoughts is on this and everything. Let me know, what do you think of the whole lawsuit itself by the CFPB? The response and the statement put out by Zell the same day as the CFPB lawsuit, right? Um, at the end of the day, the CFPB have went ahead and held accountable a lot of these financial institutions, data reporting agencies and everything like that. So, do you want to see the CFPB abolished? Do you think it's a government overreach? Um, I would definitely like to hear your thoughts. All right. But nevertheless, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tapping in. Please check out the podcast if you want to learn more on how to be able to go ahead and learn about personal finance, learn about entrepreneurship. Also, we're going in 2025, we are going to be doing more live shows on a weekly basis, where we're going to be covering topics like this and giving our insights and commentary. I'm going to try to get more people and guests involved in the show. Tap in, as we would like to go ahead and grow the numbers, grow the platform, and spread more awareness to people out there. Thanks for tapping in. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And I will catch you next time. Take care. Peace.